Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Vayigash, and also Vav Tevis. The day after Hey Tevis, we celebrate the liberation of the Sfarim and of our Rebbe. I'm not sure if we spoke about this vart in the previous years. The last Farbrengen that we have in Parshas Vayigash, the Rebbe has a very interesting sikha. I want to start with the Gemara shir we had this week in Avodah Zarah. We've been learning the past 2 weeks about the machlekes of Abai and Rava, of the halachas of Avodah Zarah, of idol worship. If a person serves an idol out of fear, being scared that someone's going to hurt you, or love, you feel like you have to make someone happy, but not that you believe in the Avodah Zarah, is that considered Avodah Zarah? Punishable by death with witnesses and warning, and achatas, a sacrifice if it's done by mistake, a shoygig. And Abai says, no, that's considered Avodah Zarah. You serve an Avodah Zarah, that's Avodah Zarah. If you're warned not to do it, you get killed. And you have to bring a chatas if it's a shoygig. Rava says, no. Rava says that it's that's not called Avodah Zarah, you don't mean it, and even though you shouldn't do it, but that's not considered punishable by death or korban or sacrifice. And in the Gemara, it brings down different opinions according to different proofs according to each of them. And the subject of Haman comes up, Mordechai and Haman. Why doesn't Mordechai bow down to Haman? And the Gemara seems to take that Haman created himself to be an idol. And in there, it seems like it's a shver taisvis. It's not exactly 100% clear. Rashi says clearly that had Haman not made himself an avodah zarah, then Mordechai would have bowed down to him, because it's just, if he just wanted people to bow down to him for the sake of bowing down to him, he would have bowed down to him. Taisvis seems to bring some sort of understanding that even according to Rava, where if a person does it out of fear, but Mordechai still doesn't bow down to Haman because of Kiddush Hashem. In the Sikha, because to sanctify Hashem's name, there's some things we don't do, even if you don't have to, even if it's, and this is a big question. The Jewish people's survival was almost put in question because Mordechai didn't bow down. Maybe if he bowed down, Haman wouldn't have created the decree. And it's a difficult question that the Jewish people struggled with through time. How do we deal with hard situations? In the Sikha, in Parshas Vayigash, the Rebbe approaches the question, why does Yaakov send Yehuda to open yeshiva? The most capable person to open the yeshiva is, of course, Yosef. Why didn't he send a message to Yosef? You're in charge. I'm coming to town. Open yeshiva. Why does he give it to Yehuda, the job? Yehuda's no more capable than any of the other brothers. Maybe in his personality he's more capable, but he's not there. He's not a part of the government. He's not a person that never necessarily has the influence to get it done, but he sends Yehuda down there to get the yeshiva done. The Rebbe answers a very fundamental point, and he actually connects this to the idea of Haman and Mordechai. That Yosef was top of his game within the laws of nature. It means even though that he had miraculous circumstances, that he became second in command, but the fact is he was the second most powerful person in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, and he had definitely the power to make the yeshiva. But had they relied on Yosef's strength within the system, within society, for the survival of the Jewish people, so then what would happen when Yosef's no longer there? Like we see that when Yosef passes away, his influence changes and the Jewish people's status changes. Had the Jewish people's survival as Jews been dependent on the laws of nature, we don't know what would happen after the time of Yosef. Yaakov understands this right away. When Yaakov is going, this is the story that's evolving from Parshas Vayetze. He goes to Lavan, comes out. Like my brother-in-law writes, there was the feeling of Mashiach coming right after Vayetze, after he finishes love, and he feels like they're ready for Mashiach, but it's not like that. And they go back to Vayishlach, they go into Mitzrayim, they go into Eretz Yisrael, and they go to Yaakov, and he feels that everything then is settled. And then slowly but surely, as we always don't seem to read the notes, eventually, already towards the end of Vayishlach and already going into Vayeshev, starts the descent of the Jewish people to Mitzrayim, and starts the slavery, the 210 years, and then the Matan Torah. But that already the seeds are being planted from the beginning. And Yaakov understands that going down to Mitzrayim now, this is that moment. And in order for that moment to be implanted with the strength that the Bnei Yisrael are going to need to go through the difficult gullus that they had in Messiah, they knew that Avram Avinu was told is going to be the gullus. That in order for that, they couldn't rely on the laws of nature. Yaakov says, let Yehuda, which represents Haidah. Haidah is acknowledgement. We've said many times before, the bittul of Yehuda is the acknowledgement, this is the way it's going to be and there's no other way. This is how the Rebbe connects it to Haman and Mordechai. Yes, maybe Mordechai could have bowed down to Haman, but there's certain times that in order for the survival of the Jewish people, you can't depend on nature. There has to be the stolz, the strength of this is the way it's going to be, it's not going to be any other way. And therefore, when Yaakov sends Yehuda, which is Haidah, acknowledgement, that maybe you don't understand it, maybe it's difficult, but the dependency of the Bnei Yisrael, the yeshivas, the Yiddishkeit of Bnei Yisrael is not because even Yosef said so. It's because we went down there and it didn't make sense at the time. How is Yehuda going to be effective? But that Bnei Yisrael know that we're not even tied down to the laws of nature, even in the circumstances Yosef is second in command. And when we have that attitude in the best of times, in all times, that our dependency is not because the situation is so great now. Like the Rebbe used to quote the Gemara that says that we have a relative in a queen in the kingdom. Esther's the Malkut, right? She's Jewish. Everything's going to be good. But Haman says there's no such thing. The Jewish people dependency is not dependent on people. It's dependent on our connection to the Eibusher. And then we're zeicha to the Gula Mitzvah Shlema, to the true redemption. And through that strength that we have now, in the last final seconds of Gullus, that Bnei Yisrael are strong. We say strong. To our Yiddishkeit, we will be zeicha to the Gula Mitzvah Shlema, the true redemption. And like it says at the end of this week's Haftarah, that David Avdi, that my servant David will be the king over all the Jewish people. And we be zeicha to the Gula Mitzvah Shlema, Bekar of Mamash Good Shabbos.